Welcome, everyone. I call the November 5th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting to order. The main purpose of tonight's meeting is to hold two separate public hearings on the 2025 City-Initiated Comprehensive Plan Annual Amendments and the Affordable Housing Zoning Code Amendments. Before we move on to the agenda items, I'd like to acknowledge our hybrid meeting format. City of Bothell is providing the option to attend this meeting either in person or remotely via Zoom. For those participating via Zoom, the chat and question function is not available to ensure compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. We have a public comment agenda item at the beginning of the meeting. Please limit all comments to 3 minutes. Please note that the City of Bothell does not tolerate verbal harassment. Please remember this during your comments. Please note that if you wish to make comments on the two items scheduled for public hearing, please make those comments during the specific hearing so that they will be part of the hearing record. Public comment will be allowed both in person and via Zoom. Those wishing to comment via Zoom were asked to submit an online form by 3 p.m. today. People wishing to submit written comments were also asked to submit those comments by 3 p.m. Email was encouraged as well and will be acknowledged. Those in attendance may also make comments and have been asked to indicate their desire to comment on sign-in sheets. The Imagine Bothell notice, city website, and tonight's agenda all provide information to the public for making comments. The video of this meeting will be streamed live, as well as recorded and available for later viewing on the city's YouTube channel. A call-in number was provided on the meeting agenda for members of the public who wish to call in by phone and listen live to the meeting. For our phone-in callers, during staff presentations, staff will make every effort to specify which materials they are referencing so that everyone can follow along. At this point, we'll take a moment to acknowledge the attendance of the commissioners. Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Westerbeck?
Here.
Commissioner Lever?
Here.
Commissioner Robson?
Here.
Commissioner Sills is absent and excused, and Commissioner Gustafson.
Here. Thank you.
In addition, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the staff in attendance, Deputy Director Gates and Deborah Powers, planner. I believe we'll have Ray later, correct? Lastly, before we begin, I'd like to reiterate some meeting guidelines. For all meeting attendees, please speak clearly and pause frequently. Please state your name each time before speaking. Mute your microphone when not speaking. If you are also streaming the live video feed, please turn the sound off as there is a delay. For commissioners, at specific breaks in the presentation, I'll be calling on members who wish to speak or ask a question. If you want to speak, please indicate this by raising your hand. I will call on you as soon as I see you, and this will help avoid the problem of having two people speaking at the same time. Identify yourself before you ask a question, make a motion, second a motion, or participate in debate. And please mute your microphone when not speaking. First item on the agenda is public comment. City has accepted visitor comment in writing, as well as accepted sign-up sheets for those who wish to speak at tonight's meeting. Those wishing to speak will have 3 minutes. Written comments submitted to the staff no later than 3 p.m. today were forwarded to all commissioners and are part of the record. Have we received any comments other than those to the public hearing?
No, only the one comment for the public hearing.
Okay, and I think we'll acknowledge that during the hearing.
Correct.
If there are any Zoom commenters, we'll call on them once at a time for comments up to 3 minutes. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none. Anyone in the Zoom room wishing to comment? Seeing no indication, we will then close the public comment period and move on to the approval of the October 22 minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Commissioner Lever moves to approve.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Commissioner Westerbeck, I second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the October 22nd minutes. Any discussion around those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 The minutes of the October 22nd meeting are approved unanimously. Brings us to the primary purpose of tonight's meeting, the public hearings. The first hearing we will have is around the 2025 City-Initiated Comprehensive Plan Annual Amendments. And I believe we have Planner Powers here to present to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Kiernan. Apparently I need to re-sign into the meeting again so I can share my screen.
Sarah gets top billing here, yeah. Better than me. We're in the club.
I am going to. The presentation will probably be faster than me signing in here, I think.
Recording in progress.
We do seem to have an echo on some of the mics. Repeating, we do have an echo. See if we can address that.
I'm hoping if I join as a panelist, it will.
Recording in progress.
So my microphone is off, and my, now I think I just got kicked out of the meeting again. No. And I think I don't hear an echo at this point. So I think I'm good to go, so. But is this mic's working? As long as this one is, we're good. We fixed the audio. Okay, I think we're good to go. So thank you again for the introduction, and good evening, Planning Commission commissioners. We'll go through a few slides, as is customary, up to the public hearing portion, and then we'll pause there, and staff will resume slides for the findings and conclusions and recommendations portion. So the purpose of this meeting is to hold a public hearing and, based on the findings and conclusions and record, provide a recommendation to the City Council on the annual comprehensive plan amendments. So here's in orange where we are today. We last met with the Planning Commission on September 17th on the draft comprehensive plan amendments that would allow more housing types and increased density through residential zones. That went to the City Council with no changes. So here we are back again, and that these are discrete comprehensive plan amendments that are proposed to remain consistent with the Bothell Municipal Code development regulations. They're only minor edits that only affect the residential low and residential conservation designations. They don't change the designations in the future land use map. And with that, I will pause here for the Planning Commission to conduct the public hearing.
All right, so we will open the public hearing. We'll start with whether there are any clarifying questions from commissioners on this. Do you have any further presentation for us? Just for the findings? Okay.
Conclusions.
So at this point, commissioner discussion on the matter before us. Commissioner Lever?
Yeah, I just have a question related to the outreach component. So since there will be a public hearing in December, what are the engagement or outreach activities that the city will take to make sure that when this happens, like the public knows what is happening and why it's happening? Like, can you remind me of what that looks like?
So aside from the noticing with Commerce and the noticing for SEPA, I think that there was also on in attachment to the Imagine Bothell noticing occurred, and the public noticing on our website occurred as well. So, and aside from the public hearings, that's the extent of the public outreach for the proposed comprehensive plan amendments.
I have a follow-up. This is Commissioner Lever. This might be a follow-up that I'll do, of, like, I guess, like on email or something, in terms of what kind of outreach I can do, like through my social media, because these are the kind of amendments that I think is very simple and it's quite, it's great for us to be able to execute our plan, but I can see how this could be something that may be misinterpreted and where we actually get some potential negative public comments when you see from 4 to 6, and then this idea of really just increasing the density without any controls. So if I were to do more outreach, is there anything that I need to be aware of in terms of what I convey, or just can I kind of customize my own outreach, like simplify sometimes some of the things that we're doing as a resident of Bothell, or I need to stick to the notice?
As a resident of Bothell, you have the opportunity to let anyone you'd like to know about upcoming events. These standard updates, they follow the minimum requirements for the state, which include, as Deb mentioned, commerce notice, SEPA noticing, which go to the paper. We also include any of our study session events within the Imagine Bothell noticing. This is also tied to the Middle Housing Bothell Municipal Code update process, which kind of dated all the way back to the resolution in March of 2024 when the Middle Housing Code was enacted, and has been discussed throughout the process, throughout the comp plan, and then subsequently after that comp plan work. So there's the Middle Housing Zoning Code work, Bothell Municipal Code work, as well as this code. So these pretty standard updates, we follow the minimum requirement from the state. The broader ones, the ones that are going to impact or potentially bring out greater interest, we do consider additional outreach beyond what we do, which I guess our baseline even goes beyond what the minimum is, noticing through Imagine Bothell and updating that way. But feel free to get the word out if you'd like.
Commissioner Gustafson.
Hi, Sarah Gustafson here. This is pretty exciting. I do think that the public will want to know, and I'm grateful to Commissioner Lever for offering to get the word out via really relevant channels. I do want to confirm that the city has changed its guidance around social media for planning commissioners, because I would love to be able to post things on social media without worrying about the Open Public Records Act.
And I can follow up with you through email, Commissioner Gustafson, on that, as well as the rest of the commissioners.
Thank you.
I think it would be useful if there is any updated guidance or even just review of guidance we've received, that you send it to all of us so that we are sure to remain in compliance with the appropriate rules and regulations. So thank you for that. Other commissioner questions, comments? I have just one comment. It was really jumped out at me looking at the completed residential units table on page 23. 0 units in 2025, even up to 100% of the AMI. The only units that were completed in 2025 were 120% or more of the AMI. So I think that clearly points to the need for further action here. So pleased that the city is taking steps to hopefully address that, so thank you for that. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, any public comments around this item? We did receive one written comment. It was from Jerome Burns of Bridge Housing, and that comment was in support of these proposed changes. Anything else to add to that, Deputy Director Gates?
No, and I think those comments were related to the second public
second
hearing,
one?
the next public
Oh,
hearing.
okay. I saw the housing issue, so,
Yep.
all right, well, make sure that one's in there. All right, so any comments, Zoom, public, otherwise? All right, we will close the public comments. And once again, we would have questions by the commissioner if there were comments made, but seeing as there were none, I suspect we have no questions. So we will close the public hearing at this point. The next thing we would do would be discuss the findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Now, did you want to present that to us? Okay.
There was, the history and the noticing and the SEPA and Commerce review findings are shown in an attachment on packet pages 18 through 19. So I didn't outline them individually on a slide. And then the summary of the findings is summarized in this sentence here, pretty much the proposed comprehensive plan. And these are, again, the citizen, or not citizen initiated, they're the city initiated. Annual amendments adjust the maximum allowed residential units from 4 to 6 in the residential low designation, and recognizes that 4 middle housing units per lot are allowed within the residential conservation designation, consistent with House Bill 1110.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion around the findings? Seeing none, next. So we have conclusions here. Take a close look at this. As I say often, this is our way of communicating with the council what we have determined through this process. Any questions, comments, additions? It's a pretty good summary of the discussion we've had. So the amendments have been drafted in accordance with laws and the city and state. Plan amendments are necessary. As I indicated, we're not getting what we want on the housing, so this will hopefully help. Consistent with goals for the housing element, and they're in the best interest of the public health, safety, and welfare. So I think the commission stands behind those conclusions, correct? I see nodding heads. So our recommendation is, based on these findings and conclusions and the entire record, the Planning Commission recognizes the City Council adopt the proposed annual comprehensive plan amendments as Exhibit A to these findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Nodding heads. Is there a motion to adopt these findings, conclusions, and recommendations as presented? A motion? Commissioner Lever?
Sure. Commissioner Lever, here I motion to approve.
All right, it has been moved. Is there a second to approve these finding, conclusions, and recommendations as presented in the package and this evening? Commissioner Westerbeck?
Commissioner Westerbeck, I second the motion.
All right, it has been moved and seconded that the commission adopt the findings, conclusions, and recommendations around the proposed 2025 annual comprehensive plan amendments. Since this is a public hearing with significance, I'm going to go by commissioner on this. So indicate aye if you're in favor. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Westerbeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Lever?
Aye.
Commissioner Robson?
Aye.
Commissioner Seals is absent and excused. Commissioner Gustafson?
Aye.
And as chair, I also vote aye. The commission unanimously approves moving these findings, commissions, and recommendations forward to the council. I'd like to thank staff for the work you've done on this. We appreciate everything that's been done and look forward to seeing these implemented. So,
Thank you very much. Well, and then this recommendation will go to City Council for a public hearing on December 2nd, and then adoption through final ordinance on December 9th. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if anyone in the public is watching or watches later, you will have another opportunity to comment December 2nd, as Planner Powers indicated. So thank you. All right, our next item, went to sleep. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing on the Affordable Housing Zoning Code amendments. And we have a staff presentation. We have Senior Planner Ray Sosa present to make the presentation this evening, so welcome. And we'll have a moment while we log on and
One second for it to show up on your screen. Not the first time I've had this technical issue. Sorry for the technical issue, it's not sharing. No, I always have the same issue. I don't know why. It's my PowerPoint or something. Maybe I need IT to look into this. So sorry, bear with me. It's okay, well, it will not work. All right. Thank you, Christian. Over to the rescue. All right, so sorry about the delay. Good evening, Council. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight I'll be presenting the findings and conclusions and recommendations for our Affordable Housing Code amendments. Oh. Sorry, let me start again. Good evening, Council. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight I'll be presenting the findings, conclusions, and recommendations for our Affordable Housing Code amendments, also previously known as our Inclusionary Zoning Code amendments. Tonight, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing and consider and hold a vote on the proposed draft, findings, conclusions, and recommendations for the Affordable Housing Code amendments and either approve with revisions, or deny. The final recommendation of the Planning Commission will be provided to the City Council. And so the purpose of the Affordable Housing Code amendments, this project was initiated by staff in June earlier this year. Washington State Legislature passed HB 1220 in 2021, requiring jurisdictions to plan for and accommodate affordable housing. Staff have prepared these draft zoning code amendments to encourage and incentivize the development of affordable housing in our city. So I'll pause here to hold a public hearing.
so we will open the public hearing on this matter. The first step of this process is clarifying questions from the commission. Commissioners, any clarifying questions or comments around this matter before us? I think we've discussed this quite a bit, and commissioners have no further comments. I'd make the same comment I made earlier, that given the lack of progress on affordable housing, I think it's important that we do proceed, so thank you for this. So with that, we would move to public comments. Any public comments on this? So this is where I'll acknowledge that we did receive an email from Jerome Burns, Bridge Housing, excuse me, in support of this. And that is the only comment we have received around this matter. Anyone in the Zoom room?
There are no individuals in the Zoom waiting room.
Okay, so no Zoom comments, no comments from the room. We will then close this portion and move on to, and since there were no comments or no questions on those comments, so we can close the public hearing and move on to deliberations around the findings, conclusions, recommendations on the proposed Affordable Housing Code amendments.
Thank you. So these proposed code amendments will apply to all the downtown, Canyon Park, residential activity center, and residential medium, RM3 and RM4 zoning categories. And as mentioned, these proposed code amendments would implement updates to those existing, would implement updates to the existing voluntary affordable housing code and expand it to the zones that I just mentioned earlier. Next slide. And the proposed amendments include edits, updates, and deletions to the following sections that you see on the screen. And in conclusion, these proposed affordable housing code amendments have been drafted, noticed, and reviewed by the public and considered by the Planning Commission in accordance with applicable laws of the state of Washington and the city of Bothell. These affordable housing code amendments are necessary to encourage the development of affordable housing, aligning with council's direction to expand housing opportunities in Bothell. And these affordable housing code amendments are in the best interest of the public.
Any comments from the commission around these conclusions? Seeing none, we have commented. Commissioner Gustafson.
Hi, Sarah Gustafson here. I am going through the text of the amendments themselves, and I'm wondering if now is the right time to ask a couple questions about those, or should I wait till after the conclusions?
I think you can ask those questions now.
Okay, so I am really excited about the fact that we've renamed it affordable housing. I'm still uncertain about the mandatory requirements, given that I'm usually against mandatory requirements. It still seems that we are putting mandatory affordable housing requirements in the DTAHO, which was already there. And we are also putting mandatory affordability requirements in the SR 522, I think it's transition zone. And those look like they are new. I'd like to know a little bit more of the history of what has changed from the prior code.
Sure. And so from the prior code, we moved from a mandatory to a voluntary requirement, voluntary incentive, I should say. So it is what we propose is no longer mandatory, it is now voluntary. And as you mentioned, yes, the Tahoe and the 522 overlays were already there prior to this code update.
Mm-hmm. As well as Canyon Park?
Yes, Canyon Park included as well.
Okay, thank you. I have one more follow-up if now is appropriate.
Commissioner Gustafson, just to add to that, the reason why it looks like it's new code is we pulled it out of the Canyon Park sub-area, the downtown sub-area, and we wanted to consolidate it all into just the affordable housing chapter. So they're stricken from Canyon Park and downtown to be brought into one place, which is why they might look like they're new, but it's new only because it's a move for those existing mandatory.
So the language hasn't changed, the location has.
Correct. The location in the code changed. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for doing that. It makes it so much clearer, and then we can see them side by side. I do think that now that I'm looking at them side by side, I'm seeing that the DTAHO requires any new development with 10 or more units should provide for affordable housing, which I've said before, that makes sense to me. But in the SR 522 corridor, we're still at developments having to follow these requirements when they get to 5 dwelling units. And even if that was there before, I'm wondering if we can change it now. I think having 10 across the board for these requirements as a trigger just makes more sense.
Any changes to the existing affordable housing code will require going through the process of meeting with having a study session with planning commission and city council. And so that is something we can look at and as we go into phase 2 approach, which would be in the next slide.
Okay, thank you so much.
Other comments, questions? Seeing none, let's move.
I see Kevin.
Just to say, I would support us eventually changing that as well, because we had established the idea of a 10 unit minimum a couple of years ago, I think it was. I still think that's more important than ever, given just the economics of development with smaller projects. So when we do get the opportunity, I will support that.
Thank you.
Other commissioners? All right, proceed.
And so based upon these findings and conclusions and the entire record, the Planning Commission recommends City Council adopt the proposed Affordable Housing Code amendments as Exhibit A to these findings, conclusions, and recommendations.
All right, thank you. Any discussions around our recommendation to the council here? Giving the commissioners a moment, but seeing no indication of. All right, that being the case, is there a motion to adopt these findings, conclusions, and recommendations as submitted in the package and presented this evening? Commissioner Robson.
Motion to approve as presented this evening.
All right, it's been moved that we approve the findings, conclusions, and recommendations as presented. Is there a second?
Commissioner Westerbeck, I'll be the second of the motion once again.
All right, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the findings, conclusions, and recommendations to the proposed affordable housing zoning code amendments as presented. Any discussion around that motion? Commissioner Gustafson.
Hi, Commissioner Gustafson here. I will likely be voting to deny the code as written. And with that said, with a lot of gratitude to the city staff for trying to balance multiple competing incentives and new guidance coming down constantly from all different places. Thank you.
Would you like to be specific on the reason so it's part of the record?
Certainly. I think that if we are submitting it to City Council, we should first do the work that Senior Planner Sosa mentioned of really thinking about revising that code and seeing if it's feasible to do so. And if it is feasible, what a timeline might look like for that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that comment. Any other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Westerbeck?
Once again, I'll echo Commissioner Gustafson because I'm interested in that as well. I'm a little confused because I would love to dig into this, and I wasn't sure if we were being given the chance to do this, or if this is something we can do, or if this was something we needed to get just codified, and then we were going to come back and crack it open later. Because I do think we're a little bit behind if we haven't created that 10-unit minimum like we did in the past for very good reasons. So I tend to support Commissioner Gustafson's. I'd probably vote for it anyway with the hope, again, that we would take the opportunity to adjust this to our newer 10-unit minimum standard or something similar to incentivize and not disincentivize these small projects we've been zoning for so hard the last few years. Thank you.
All right. Any comments from staff on that?
I can add that we, as part of a second phase, as Ray mentioned, we plan to come back in the beginning of 2026, exploring adjustments to the mandatory potentially adjusting what this may approve as well, with more data from research that's been done, with a significant amount of work to develop pro formas for what market rate projects can provide, what the potential incentives, and exploring what the incentives are that are out there that we can create as the offsets for going further with a broader mandatory approach. Additionally, we're going to look at transfer of development rights as a tool to increase density, as well as updating the MFTE code. So all of this underneath the Housing Action Plan umbrella. And we're contemplating how to make sure that is made clear in the record as we move this before City Council. We're working to build that into the work plan, or at least the drafted work plan, as an item to consider at the beginning of the year, to make sure that we can get the direction from yourselves as well as City Council.
Thank you. Commissioner Westerbeck.
So just because I'm very interested in this, so just to clarify, this is sort of like almost just rearranging the code, what we're doing tonight. But it sounds like, because that was one of my kind of burning questions I was thinking in the back of my head, was we're going to do all this incentivizing that we've been working on for months. So we're going to start to see where they overlap, and maybe where we'll be updating existing policy and code, it sounds like. And this is sort of a placeholder because we had it for all along.
Correct.
And so we're going to kind of crack that open. And I imagine some of it will tie into our work on the downtown sub-area code as well.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you said, we get another crack at it, because that's very interesting. I was hoping that would happen, that we would be looking at all these incentive programs we're working on and how they're going to dovetail or mesh with this. So that's pretty much what you said. I'm just repeating it, but I just want to make sure I was clear on that we get the opportunity to see how these all work together and what an updated set of incentives or requirements might be in 26.
Yeah, that's our hope. Yeah, that's our plan.
So I would remind the commissioners, our purpose is to either approve with revisions, or deny. So there is an opportunity to discuss a revision to the recommendation, perhaps expressing the interest in having these things happen. If someone wanted to discuss making such a change, we can certainly have that discussion right here, right now. Commissioner Lever.
Thank you, Commissioner Lever here. I actually have a question about the process of this change. Like, I am kind of like starting to remember the robust conversations we had around this, and I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, we've talked about some of the challenges of even when the affordable housing units are produced to actually get them, get the residents in there. And there's been kind of like an issue in trying to just get those units filled, like in the county in general. And I'm kind of at this point, forgetting like what goes first. So I'm understanding that we've gotta have the policy change so that we can start implementing it and then seeing what that trickle effect would look like. However, given the current market conditions and some of the learnings from other cities and what's happening at the county level, can you please remind me of why mandating it has been sort of like the recommendation versus the other routes that we sort of discussed? And also, when it comes to partnership, what are those partners that we are hoping to really have at the table to help implement? Or I'm just concerned that this might turn into another thing that just sits at the table and provides, and maybe like generates a lot of pushback from the community without even us, being able to really fully implement it, because we don't have those partners that are needed to produce this type of housing.
Sure, those are great questions, and so starting with the first question, you asked about, how do we make sure these units actually get filled, or who are the partners for this unit? And so for that, we rely on our partners at Arch to help us get the word out for these units when they are created and when they're on the market, or when they are available, I should say, to find the appropriate tenants. And they do all their income qualification, all the background screening to make sure that these tenants are the right fit for these units, and vice versa, that these units are the right fit for the tenants and their family size, whatever that may be. And sorry, can you remember what was the second question again?
The second question is in terms of the developer
Yes.
component, like, do
Why-
we
yeah.
have those part?
Yeah, why is this a route that we decided to take? And so that's because, as I mentioned, the state legislature, HB 1220, which was passed in 2021, requires that the cities no longer just hope for affordable housing. Now they actually have to plan for affordable housing, which means that there's a number that Bothell has to actually meet as part of their growth targets for the next 20 years. And so the best method that's been found in this region has been to implement inclusionary zoning, which is a partnership, as we mentioned, with partner developers to make sure that we get those units created when there's new development happening. Historically, this region has been growing and growing and has been seeing a lot of development, and so getting a slice of that development to be set aside for affordable units is how we're hoping to meet those numbers.
And this is one step in that direction. So there's no mandatory requirements within the draft code. They're all voluntary. All the edits are part of a voluntary step in that direction to plan for based on city council's recommendation, to consider this as a voluntary program in this expansion. So we have zones that already require it. We're expanding that to zones as a voluntary opportunity. And then when we come back next year, our plan is to provide detailed information, starting from the ground up, because we are going to have new council members to educate on this starting in January, where we can bring in Arch, we can explain and expand upon the overall process for establishing affordable units. And then with the information that we can bring before you and before council for potential updates to the broader affordable housing code. Is this enough to plan for and accommodate under HB 1220? Do we need to go further? And the chart in the staff report was intended to provide just the clarity of, we're going to have a lot of units being built under the older codes. Creating a voluntary program is a step in the direction. Is it enough? And those are the questions that we'll be grappling with over the next year through this work, through the housing action plan work that Ray is working on to develop other strategies around affordable housing.
I also do want to add that moving forward, every city is now required to have a housing element that plans for these low, I should not just say low-income units, but these units that are below the 100% AMI. And Department of Commerce is still working on exactly how to evaluate each housing element, and part of that evaluation also includes deciding what the consequences would be for a city if they choose not to or fail to not meet that quota or that standard. And so we do have in the back of our mind that, this is not just a state, policy, it's actually a state directive. And it's in our best interest as a city to do our best to meet that number.
Commissioners? So I do hear a really strong interest in the part of the commission in seeing that further work be done. And given that we do have some new council members coming in January, there may be value to giving the message that we want that to be done. And we could certainly entertain a motion to amend the recommendation, something to the effect that the commission makes this recommendation based on the understanding that further work will be done to modify the requirements, including perhaps considering modifying the minimum number of units from 5 to 10.
Yeah, and there's percentages in there as well that we would need to evaluate, but I don't know that we're prepared to do that tonight, a minimum 10% of units, and et cetera, et cetera. But these are all holdovers from the past, from the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, I believe. So it's where I get a little confused is this the kind of thing we can affect now, or we just put it in the findings, conclusions, and recommendations, knowing we're going to dig into it soon? Or is it, it's too much work to try and do before December? So I want to be cognizant of that, but knowing that we probably need to be digging into this, as Deputy Director Geitz said.
I see two commissioners have their hands up on this.
Commissioner Jones?
Chair Kiernan, I support what you're saying, that in terms of amending the recommendation to indicate to indicate our interest in engaging in Part B as soon as possible. I'm not supportive of us putting in any numbers or
Okay.
indicating any particular direction because we haven't had the benefits, some of us, I mean, some of us know way more about this issue than others, but some of us don't have the benefit of seeing the information, the detailed information that staff's collecting. And I wouldn't want to presuppose what the finding is going to be after Part B. I would just want to indicate that we're excited about moving to the next step.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Robson.
Thank you. I would just like to second what Commissioner Jones is saying, that we agree with you. That we need to get something done passed today, I think. But I do think it's important to dig into it. I think holding off until we can, December won't be enough time to get any kind of satisfactory information that we could add to these findings and recommendations. I think at this time we say, yes, we like the direction and we're excited about reviewing the data so that we can really, so we can make updated changes to meet the current market and legislation changes, things like that.
Well, we could entertain a motion, and typically the chair doesn't make a motion under Roberts, so, but we could make a motion to the effect that the commission makes this recommendation based on the understanding that future work will be done to modify these requirements. And just end it there, making it clear we do want to see more coming. Is there an interest in something like that language? Or we can just vote on as is. Mr. Lever.
Commissioner Lever really would like to go in that direction where we actually have it in writing and that we can make sure that it's part of the record that we do want to see more, but we want to move forward. I want to move forward.
Other comments? Again, this is our message to the council, and if it's important to the commission, as I do believe it is, that further work be done, I think it's appropriate for us to say that.
Commissioner Westerbeck, and I would just, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Commissioner Gustafson.
Oh, Sarah Gustafson here. I appreciate the thoughtful comments of my fellow commissioners, and I am leaning towards supporting an amended findings. I do want to understand what specifically is the cost of not passing it today. I do definitely feel the urgency that we need to pass something today. However, I think the only housing forward change I can find in my own interpretation is that the voluntary code for the DTAHO. So if we pass this now, then DTAHO will be able to basically build affordable housing and get the higher allowances, the higher roof allowances, in other words, to 5 stories. So am I correct in understanding that if we don't pass it today, the one thing that we will lose out on is the change to the DTAHO requirements, which I definitely want to see.
Staff?
I think, if there is no, in order to move forward with expanding this into a phase 2, into considering a mandatory expansion, there's a lot of work that has to go into it. Washington State Code requires that, essentially the offsets. So if there's a requirement to provide affordable housing, you have to provide equal to or better than incentives, such as height, such as density. When you're doing a voluntary program, you can provide those voluntary incentives and you don't have to show your work. If you're going to create it as a mandatory beyond what we already have in the code, or even if we were to adopt and expand the current mandatory into another zone, we'd have to show the math again that it would work out. So this keeps us consistent with our current mandatory. It adds to it this other tool of voluntary for other areas of the city to consider. We've had conversations with developers around the city, and there are a few projects that could benefit from this voluntary height, where they realize, oh, if I could get another story or two, then my project would work out. Well, then that would be great, because then it would create some affordable units, some deed-restricted affordable units with the project. So part of the urgency is there are opportunities in this economic climate. It's a little bit, we're kind of on pins and needles of seeing things progress in the direction we want to see. So the work that we'll do, that we plan on doing in 2026, will explore the benefits to offset a potential mandatory code and make our code better. So we're getting further and further away from, let's create a code and hope that we see it built, and create a code that you'd be silly not to consider developing, because the incentives will be beneficial to a project.
Okay.
And it'll align with the plan for and accommodate mandate.
Great, thank you so much. I think that clarifies for me why there need to be two phases and why it's inadvisable to touch the mandatory portion right now. Thank you so much.
Okay, so for a process check here, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt the motion as proposed. There's been discussion and some interest in amending it by motion. Is there a motion to amend the recommendation to include language? And I proposed something, certainly can be changed, but the proposal I made was the commission makes this recommendation based on the understanding that further work will be done to modify these recommendations. Is there a motion to make that amendment?
I move to make the amendment as spoken by the chair just now.
Okay. Is there a
Recommended for-
second?
Commissioner Lever, seconds.
Okay. Any discussion around the amendment to the motion? No? Did you capture the language? Do you need anything?
We've got the language, and we'll listen back to the tape for
Okay.
this 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
Pulled
Yeah,
it
it's
in.
just one sentence,
Yep.
and I've got it written here as I read it too, if you have any questions.
Excellent.
Okay. So based on that, there is a amended motion before us to adopt the findings, conclusions, and recommendations as presented, with the amendment that the commission makes this recommendation based on the understanding that further work will be done to refine these requirements. Any further discussion? Commissioner Gustafson.
Hi, Commissioner Gustafson here. I think I really like that language. I would move to amend the amendment to say, quote, on the understanding that further work will be done to amend these recommendations, including potential reconsideration of mandatory zones, or some kind of clause that puts an alert to the council and anyone who would read this that that's what we're focusing on. Otherwise, I don't think it has the specificity to make the impact that we're hoping for, even though the language is definitely good.
All right, so what I heard, I'm going to correct me if I missed it. Much of it's the same. The commission makes this recommendation based on the understanding that further work will be done to refine these requirements, including consideration of the mandatory elements of this portion of the code.
Yes.
Did I
Perfect.
capture what you
Thank
said?
so much.
Okay. Is there discussion around that modification? right, since I've got a couple of cross-outs and changes, I'll read it one more time, and then we'll vote on the amendment to the motion. So the commission makes this recommendation based on the understanding that further work will be done to refine these recommendations, including consideration of the mandatory elements of this portion of the code. Does that capture your thoughts, Commissioner Gustafson? All right. So is there a motion to approve the amended motion?
Commissioner Lever motions to approve the amendment motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Commissioner Westerbeck, I move to second the motion to amend the amendment.
Okay. Hey, this is process. All right. Any further discussion? Commissioner Lever?
It is more like a comment around the communication piece or how we convey this to the public. Like, again, even when I think about the word affordability and then the negative connotation that it has, and knowing that zoning is something that really prevents equity in many ways, I really can't stress enough how important it is to understand like what we can do as commissioners and getting the word out in terms of what we're attempting to do and some of the barriers that we will face even when we have mandates, given the different barriers that we have to attain these affordability goals. So every time we meet, and then knowing that we do have the ability to somewhat understand what we're saying, and we still get like, what was that again? And I just keep on thinking of my neighbors and anyone else who may have no idea what is it that we're trying to achieve here. So as we continue to plan for the implementation of this, really thinking of the ways in which we can use funding to really enhance the outreach component and really go above and beyond the minimum requirements to communicate in a way that can really capture our attention. And then with that said, I know in the last couple of months, I've been really like hyper-focused on the engagement piece, because I just felt that there wasn't enough. What I did realize going back to Facebook, because I took some break from social media, and that's why I felt so disconnected. But now that I'm back on Facebook, I'm like, oh, no, pretty much like the communication is out there. However, there's so many modes of communication, so I think it's the need to amplify it in other areas so that if you are not in one social media platform, you can get it from another. And I know it can be expensive and time consuming. However, in order for us to really gather the support that we need to get the developers at the table and then the community support when these projects come forward, we need to just really focus our funding or allocate the funding to be able to do that. So thank you.
All right, thank you for that comment. Any further discussion? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt the findings, conclusions, and recommendations to proposed affordable housing code amendments as amended through the discussion here this evening. All in favor of approving that? And again, I will do a roll call, given this is a significant issue. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Westerbeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Lever?
Aye.
Commissioner Robson?
Aye.
Commissioner Sills is absent and excused. Commissioner Gustafson?
Aye.
And Chair, I vote aye as well. With that, findings, conclusions, and recommendations are adopted as amended. I'd like to thank staff for all your work on this. This is a very important issue. We discuss it a lot, and we discuss it a lot because of its significance. We look forward to continuing to discuss it per the amendment to the motion. So thank you again. And that concludes this item. That concludes our public hearings for this evening. Thank you. So with that, we move on to reports from members. Members, anything for the group? Commissioner Gustafson.
Hi, Sarah Gustafson here. One thing on social media that I'm super excited about is that the city of Bothell now has its own Reddit account, and it is posting to the Bothell Reddit, it is posting to the Snohomish County Reddit, they're posting memes, they're posting get out the votes, and I think this is a great platform to do a piece of what Commissioner Lever suggested, getting the word out. And I know sometimes people on Reddit are already going to agree with these ideas, but it gives them more language to talk about it. So perhaps there's an opportunity there. But thank you so much to the city staff for being super creative and fun.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Gustafson. Other commissioner reports? I would just report that I spent a chunk of Halloween on Main Street with grandchildren. I really want to congratulate the city of Bothell for an event. You couldn't do anything about the weather. We recognize that, but boy, my 4-year-old loved it. 4-year-old granddaughter loved it. So it was a good time. Look forward to many more events on Main Street. I think that space is being really used to enhance the community, to bring people together, and I want to congratulate the city for taking those steps to make that happen. So, okay. Commissioner Lever.
Thank you, Commissioner Lever. So on that note, again, I just want to say that now that I'm back on social media and Facebook, there's so many surveys, there's so many ways to really get engaged with the city through that platform. And I am very, very thankful for all that work, and I try to just kind of like share that out as much as I can. So thank you for that. And I might just have to get a Reddit account, which I don't have. I'm like, oh. But anyway, so thank you.
All right, thank you. Other commissioner comments, reports for the group? Seeing none, reports from staff.
Only report from staff. Next scheduled meeting is November 19th. There'll be a study session on the urban forestry management plan, as well as a transportation impact fee study session to follow up the work from Public Works on that.
Thank you. We'll look forward to that. So, there being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Lever, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Robson, second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting this evening. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all. This meeting is adjourned at 7:04. Our next meeting will be November 19th. Really appreciate the work done on these two very important issues. So thank you, the staff, for the time on this, and I thank the city for giving you the resources to do this work. Thank you and good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.